Sabres game night, they play host to San Jose and are looking for their 8th win in a row. Pregame will begin at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. And then for tonight, Luke Schenn, Logan Stanley, and Tanner Pearson all are still dealing with those visa issues, so they're not going to be in the lineup this evening. But in net, all signs are pointing to Alex Lyon getting the start. Around the league, it is a busy night. 12 other games in action. Some notable ones to keep an eye on include Penguins at Carolina, Montreal hosting Toronto, Blue Jackets at the Lightning, and the Panthers hosting Detroit. All of those games also get underway at 7. Then at 7:30, the Blues, they host the New York Islanders. For the Bills, they get more work done. Tight end Dawson Knox does sign a new 3-year contract. The numbers on that deal have not yet been reported, but the team has made this official. We'll get the latest when Sal Capaccio joins the show at 3:30. And then some other notes today. Patriots signed wide receiver Romeo Doubs, 4 years, $70 million. The Raiders are sending quarterback Geno Smith and a 7th this year to the Jets for a 6th in this year's draft. And the Texans signed offensive tackle Braden Smith to a 2-year, $25 million deal with $13.5 million of that guaranteed. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I don't think that's a very good attitude.
It's Mike Schopp.
You don't think? You don't think? I don't think you should be butting in when I'm talking to my team. You're my assistant, okay? You're supposed to back me up and go get me juice boxes when I tell you. Now go get me a juice box. You know who you're talking to.
It's the Bulldog.
I'm talking to the juice box guy. You're crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm just thirsty. Why don't you go to hell? No, you go to hell. While you're there, why don't you grab me a juice box? I'm no juice box boy, I'll tell you that. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you
It's
are.
Mike
I'm not.
Schopp and the Bulldog on WGR Sports Radio 550.
While you're in hell, since you're going to be there, how about you grab me a juice box? You're already in hell. I mean, while you're there, why don't you just grab me a juice box? That's all I'm saying. Why don't you just do that?
Everyone knows hell is overflowing with juice boxes.
And then you come right back.
Yeah.
That's how that goes. Game 65. You feeling it? Sabres and Sharks. I was just thinking it's very much in the same vein as how I was talking and feeling yesterday, and really for a couple of weeks, if not longer. What this game would have meant to me last year or any of the most of the last 10 years. Like, the Sharks?
Yeah.
So they're still a thing? The Sabres, okay. What does Tankathon say about our odds?
I don't remember the time of the year they were in last year, but I do remember you asking me, so what, you watch a game every night. Have you seen Celebrini? What do you think how's that going so far? He was the first overall pick, last year was his rookie year. And I remember being sort of careful about, I hadn't really watched them a lot. I wasn't really dug in on here's how I feel about Celebrini. And I sort of said, I think it's going okay. I don't think it's going great, but I think it's going well enough. He's not taking the league or the team by storm or anything, but I think he looks like the potential to be like a franchise player is there kind of thing. And then they played that night, and he was great.
They played last year at this time?
I don't remember the time of the year.
Okay.
I just remember it was during last season at some point. It kind of blends in. But
the home game?
Yeah, the home game. The game here.
Okay.
And he was the best player on the ice. He just looked so great. And I remember thinking, I really undersold this. Like I should have leaned harder into, but I honestly didn't really know, and I didn't want to say I don't know. I'm always over here bragging about all the hockey I'm watching, so I wanted to give you a take on one of the hot new guys in the league.
But you also don't stay up late.
That's right. So I hadn't really seen him a lot. He was so great in that. I think they lost. I think the Sabres won the game.
Wow.
But Celebrini was just tremendous in the game, and. This year, there's people, we're talking to Greg Wyshynski in an hour. He's on the list of MVP. He's not going to win the MVP, but
why not?
He's going to get votes because there's other guys that have like 110 points already.
Or just going by the stats?
Or close to it. McKinnon.
McDavid has 108.
Yeah. Those guys,
Celebrini has 89.
yeah, he
was great at the Olympics.
That is, I mentioned this last week briefly. The Sabres played last Tuesday, right? They won a game last Tuesday. I don't remember who it was against.
Jersey?
Yes, thank you.
First game back.
And no, that was the week before on Wednesday. Last week
Vegas.
Vegas was Tuesday. First home game back. And afterward, still buzzing a little bit. I'm going to watch Montreal, San Jose, and just a work of art. 7-5, great game.
I've never seen a better game than that.
Right? They are a super fun team. It's not Celebrini's only one of a handful of second or fourth overall picks. That Michael Misa from last year, Will Smith is another guy that was a second overall. Like they've got a lot of
too soon,
a lot of juicy young guys there. I don't know what they're doing on D yet. They don't seem to have a Darlene or a Power. Like they don't. I don't think they, to my knowledge, have a high pick blue liner yet, but they're building a nice little offensive team there.
Spotlight on the opponent brought to you by Tullamore Dew.
Get it out of the way now.
Sabres are minus 200 tonight.
Things are different when I'm running deep on the Sharks.
I didn't even ask about the Sharks.
I know, and I'm just going. I'm sorry. It's not even really called for. And it's probably not that interesting. But anyway, 5 minutes on the Sharks for you, everyone. That's all I got. I'm tapped out.
Sabres minus 200 in this game. Are we still betting?
I mean, occasionally.
Is it?
I'm not betting anything. I'm not betting anything minus 200.
I feel like I can't ask Sam or Joe. No, right. That's you got to keep your dignity. You're betting dignity.
I will go to my betting grave with I would rather lose $10 than win 12. That's how I gamble.
You'd rather lose $10 with a chance to win 15.
Right.
Than win 12 when, you're betting 20 or whatever it is. I don't know. I can't really ask Sam or Joe. These hockey, or of course Trista back in the day, like
TK Pucks.
TK Pucks is still in hibernation, I'm pretty sure. Like what minus 200 is from a Sabre standpoint right now. Like how dramatically has the market reacted to their winning? I don't know. Maybe that's a pretty significant. I always think the books know, but with the Sabres, like our Jack Adams Award bet with Lindy Ruff, we got Lindy at 7-1 at the time, right?
Right. And
now he's the favorite. Sometimes you get there first in these things. Sometimes you get there before the books do. And I'm not, telling you that I'm sort of like, I was wise to the Sabres, but I like them. So that was really more what that was just sort of, this will be fun. Maybe he'll win. It made sense, but it's also like we're rooting for this.
Yeah, and they had already. I think we did this after the 10-game win streak. I don't think it predated that.
No,
right?
I have the date.
Right, they were going. It was like, the bet was, do you think they'll keep going? They could keep going. Yeah, they look good. So let's take a flyer on it.
The bet was, as I remember it, and I would say is like, so it's a team that's been out of the playoffs forever. Those coaches have an advantage. They're not expected to be good.
Right.
And this was January 21st-ish, so 6 weeks ago or maybe a little longer. And they had a chance. And when we talked about it with Sam, because Sam helped us with this bet, we live in a state where you're not allowed to bet on awards.
Right.
But I remember talking about it, and he and I talked about this again on Friday, that they're going to play Tampa Bay 4 times. And they might have to win that series or win the division for Ruff to win, but I think all else equal, he would win. He would win on ties because the Sabres have been down for so long. And then I started to hear whatever ESPN game it was, the Penguins game. The Sabres were in Pittsburgh, and they were talking the whole game about like, wow, this is incredible. But also like there's a feeling that John Cooper, who has never won that award, is kind of due to win. Like, I don't need to hear that.
Yeah, there's like a career achievement award vibe to Cooper this year. And that is still, I didn't go over the column finely enough to know, but Greg Wyshynski, again, we're going to talk to it in the 4 o'clock hour, ESPN.com, has a long piece that posted maybe last night. I saw it and I retweeted saying Greg's going to come on with us. And it's handicapping the award stuff. And I think he's polling voters, maybe. or maybe it's just front office people. I'm not sure, but like Cooper is still ahead in Wyshynski's model. But like 58 points to 50. How are the first place voting give you this many points, whatever kind of thing. So I'm interested to hear Greg on that.
Well, how do you vote for Cooper if they don't beat out the Sabres?
I don't.
Maybe they will, but
right.
If they don't,
I don't think.
What's the argument?
I decided back in December I was going to do this. Is the argument, which is nonsense.
We make a bet, and then finally, this is the year where like the standings don't matter.
Right.
That's not fair.
We're a coach that took a team from very last place in the conference all the way to the top in the span of a few months doesn't get the award. Like you just said it. I mean, those awards we've talked about it for years. Those awards are made for Lindy Ruff. Like a coach having the year Lindy Ruff and the Sabres are having.
Speak it into existence. I mean, yes. Not only, you could have been saying either, not only were the Sabres, down last year and have been for so many years, but this year went along for almost 2 months and they were the same. I mean, right? They were
last place in the East.
Last place in the East.
Yeah.
2 months into the season. How is that not a great coaching achievement?
It almost has to be.
Sabres minus 200 against the Sharks, pregame at 6.
Minus 200.
Minus 200 against a team that's 1 point out.
Yeah,
Sharks
listen,
out.
I don't want to the way that I am, I bet on the Sharks a lot when I put in 4 or 5 leg parlays because they are often they're often an underdog. And so you don't even need to give up, 1.5 or you get them on plus money usually. And they are a certain kind of good. Like they can surprise you if you're not buttoned up. And I would say the same thing tonight. Like what are they on the money line? Do you have it or did you?
Well, if it's minus 200, it'd be something like plus 160, right?
Yeah, that's like I'm all over that. Nothing against the Sabres.
Wow,
like
look out!
I'm putting a parlay together. I'm throwing in on a good young team that's in a race still, on a team that's riding a 7-game heater on the heels of the game of the year in the NHL. I mean,
listen to this.
There was a lot poured in there. So I'm just saying,
Bulldogs on the Sharks.
Objectively, Sharks are good value tonight.
Interesting. You say that. I think that's subjective, but all right, sure. I get the logic. Alex Lyon probably tonight. That's one of the more interesting facets of this down the stretch run here and then into the playoffs for the Sabres. I would guess, and believe me, I don't have to convince you. Like, I'm not talking to anybody about this. If it's even been decided, it's probably been talked about in there. But I would guess as long as this is happening, they'll just keep alternating. 7 goals, whatever. Like you won.
Yeah.
I would think they would just the games are spaced out Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Then they go out west next week. It's Tuesday, maybe in Vegas next week. So I would think that they would keep doing that. Eventually, though,
they're going to have to make a choice.
Probably.
Yeah,
they're not going to alternate in the playoffs.
The only way they would alternate in the playoffs is if they choose a guy. Obviously, someone's going to start game 1, and you drop game 1. Then you could pivot to the other guy, and it's the system, right? Assuming you haven't had a big conversation with either of the like, you could go to the guy, both of them, and say like, look, Alex, you're our guy, you know, and then to walk. But they probably won't do that. I think they'll. If I'm rough, I leave it open-ended enough that you're starting game 1, and if they lose it, then there's maybe a chance to pivot to the other guy. But if you win that game, then the other guy doesn't come out, I think.
Well, who starts game 1? Is it Eenie Meenie? Do they just go all the way to the game 82, and then whoever plays game 82 sits in game 1?
That's a good question. I doubt that they will do it that way. I'm sure they already have some idea of a preference. I have no idea what it is. I really, really don't. I think these how many games are we talking about left here? Less than 18 games. I mean, for the goalies, I would bet every one of them is going to matter. I know fans will not soon forget 7 goals on Sunday night, so I think we'll be hearing about that. Certainly especially if Luukkonen has turbulence in his next outing or two.
What did you think of his game? I thought that some of those in the middle of the game were like, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah.
They were just lost, I thought.
I think there was some sloppiness, rebounds. but a lot of it was just it was one of those games where there's a lot of clean looks. And, I didn't feel like looking at the goals, I had big problems with his positioning or anything. It just was one of those nights, which, again, I think is why Ruff, how much did Luukkonen trying to get into the fight with Hagel play into Ruff's thinking? But I think Ruff, to leave him in. Like he's in the fight, right? Paul made a point yesterday with us how, connecting that, might have been a reasonable thing to do. That maybe Ruff felt like he's in it with everyone. I'm not going to pull him out now.
Well, he did say something like that after the game,
right.
Just like he's in it with everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm sure everybody liked that.
Yeah, but if he had been objectively bad on a few of those goals, maybe he would have gotten pulled. I think it's possible to give up that many goals and not necessarily have a bad, like a pull-worthy night.
I'm really glad it didn't happen because it felt like, I guess I can't say I was thinking about it at the time when it went to 6-4, but as late as it was in the game, is that the third period by now? It's 6-4. You don't see a goalie pulled so often in the third.
Right.
But it seems like it could have been possible. 5 goals in a row given up.
Right.
And, why do coaches take the goalie out when they do? They do it to change the mood of the game. And, it's just usually in the first. We're down 3-0 in 8 minutes. So it's just, we got to do this. This is what coaches are sort of taught to do and almost always will do. But in the third period, it's a little different. I'm glad it didn't happen. Remember when Ruff took Miller out of Game 7 in Philadelphia? Remember that?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah.
Like, Lindy doesn't seem that special when it comes to this stuff, but he left him in. And it was still, it was still game on. I'm glad he did.
Yeah, me too.
Because I feel like most of the time, not most, but a lot of the time, goalies get pulled, and really it's just sort of lame because you built your schedule around a goalie playing a certain night, and then you give up a couple of bad ones, or just even if they're not bad, and we got to take them out because this is what we're supposed to do. I don't think you really need to do that as often as coaches do it.
Yep. I wonder if internally they have an outcome they're rooting for. Like the management, scouts. I mean, Luukkonen is the younger guy. Luukkonen is the guy with the contract. It's not a terribly burdensome contract, but there is a commitment there. And Lyon is more your journeyman backup guy. And if he's the better guy and that's who they choose, so be it. But I would be surprised if internally they're not hoping Luukkonen hangs a number on the board here in these last, if he gets 9 of these games. I'll bet they're really, because I just feel like he's the guy that, to me, that I think he could get to a level where he could steal a game or two. And Lyon and he are both having the same year, basically. Like, their goals saved above expected are both excellent. They both have been very, very good. I just feel like Luukkonen's got just a little more athletically, size, whatever it is, pedigree, second-round pick, Finnish national team. I just feel like they would like to be able to lean on him. But that's not to say that it's leaning one way or the other. They both have been excellent, and Lyon does not have, whatever you want to say about the quality of the saves and the goals and the whatever, Lyon does not have a numbers-killing performance on his record here recently at all, and Luukkonen just gave up 7 on whatever shots. Like, his numbers are in the tank for the year, I assume. I've not even looked.
Lyon almost never loses.
Right. So I think right now, if they were choosing, if tonight was game 1, I mean, the game from Sunday night sort of slants it a little bit, obviously, but I think if game 1 were tonight, they would pick Lyon.
Interesting.
But I'll bet internally they would like to see Luukkonen elevate.
I think I'm going to want to advocate that they keep rotating.
Even in the playoffs?
Yes.
It's just not how it's done.
I know. That's what I hate about sports, where you have to do it because there's one way to do it. Like, listen to the argument. I got here rotating goalies. They haven't really separated themselves too dramatically from each other. There should be logically, the same benefit to spacing out the work that there is in the regular season. Why do teams sit their number one starter 25 times a season? Because they've seen the data. They've seen the light. They know that it's better this way, usually. The odds are good this way. So why should the playoffs, where it's that much more intense, and the possibility for long overtime games, which you don't have in the regular season as well, why shouldn't the logic be the same? Where I would keep, both guys going. This is the routine that they're used to. This is how we've made it this far. Why should we change it? I think I'm going to want to be there. Unless something happens in the next month, which would be what?
One of them,
somebody falls apart?
Right.
I mean, on this team, is somebody just going to really fall apart? I mean, Marty Baron, Miller and Baron, again, it's 20 years ago, so apologies, but it's like the last Sabres team that was really good. The next year, I mean, Baron is gone.
Right.
But still, I would say looking back, you could have done more of that. I wonder what Marty would say. Yeah, I wanted to play. Hi, I agree. I don't know what he would say, but I remember as we went along with Ryan Miller, thinking more and more often, he's really not that much better statistically than Marty is. So why does he have to play every night? Now we're getting into it, and everybody's exhausted, and everybody is playing hurt. I don't know. I'm getting a little carried away, but I think I'm going to probably, if the playoffs were to start right now, I'd want 2 goalies for my first 2 games.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, I'm not here to tell you for sure they won't do it. It would be almost shocking to me if they did, because it's just not done. But that doesn't mean you can't. Right? It doesn't mean you can't do it. Right? I mean, even this year, I kept expecting there to be a time. Anytime there was a little break. They're gonna get Luukkonen. They're gonna try to establish Luukkonen. He's gonna play two of 3 kind of thing, and it never really happened. There was one time he got a start on the heels of the previous start, and I don't remember if he won or lost, but that was the end of that. Like, they did not do that again. I don't think either guy has played 2 games in a row since that.
That's when?
And it was
January.
It's a long time ago now. Yeah. So, you're saying unless something happens here, I mean, that's where Luukkonen, I think, needs to reestablish himself on Thursday night, assuming he gets Thursday night. Like, just don't let the 7 from the other night become a thing where, the next game out you give up 4, and because then it could start to unravel on him.
Well, is there a game tonight where Lyon would get Thursday?
Boy, I don't think so.
I don't either.
I think he could shut this team out on 31 shots, and they would still go to Luukkonen on
If
Thursday.
they lose, they don't go back
Right.
to him, and they'd have to win in some sort of like Hasek-like game or something. And why change anything?
Right.
Like that's 8 in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, and even if it were like some game where he just stole it, you'd be like, all right, well, he worked hard on Tuesday. We're not playing him Thursday.
I know.
There's just no. Yeah, I don't see that changing between now and the end of the regular season. I would guess that it will in the playoffs, but again, I don't have to be right about that.
Sabres -200 versus San Jose 705. Tampa Bay home to Columbus tonight, also a 7:00-er. -240, by the way.
Oof.
Tampa.
Wow.
Against Columbus, which is pretty good.
Double up on the Blue Jackets and the Sharks, people. That's your advice for tonight.
What? Are those even teams? My crossword puzzles. NHL, Columbus. Oh, poor Columbus. Like yesterday I took shots, and here I am again. They're like a point out or whatever. They're close.
Right, they are. Yeah.
They're close. They're not terrible. Yarmo's going to come after me. Like, listen, stop it on Columbus. My mom's from Xenia. I'm going to play that card now. That it's actually, I'm allowed to pick on them because it's home.
Oh, I see. Yeah. You've got cred. You've got street cred.
I've got Ohio street cred. That's a team name. Sal Capaccio coming up. We'll talk about the Dawson Knox restructuring. We have quotes from Connor McGovern. The Jets are going with Geno Smith, trading with the Raiders for their old and new quarterback. So some topics. Greg Wyshynski, as Bulldog mentioned, coming up at 4. Sabres and Sharks tonight. Thanks for listening. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. Books, no. But with the Sabres, like our Jack Adams Trophy, Jack Adams Award, bet with Lindy Ruff, we got Lindy at 7-1 at the time, right?
Right.
And now he's the favorite. Sometimes you get there first in these things. Sometimes you get there before the books do. And I'm not, telling you that I'm sort of like, I was wise to the Sabres, but I like them. So that was really more what that was just sort of, this will be fun. Maybe he'll win. It made sense, but it's also like we're rooting for this.
Yeah, and they had already. I think we did this after the 10-game win streak. I don't think it predated that.
No,
right?
I have the date.
Right, they were going. It was like, really the bet was, do you think they'll keep going? They could keep going. Yeah, they look good. So let's take a flyer on it.
The bet was, as I remember it, and I would say is like, so it's a team that's been out of the playoffs forever. Those coaches have an advantage. They're not expected to be good.
Right.
And this was January 21st-ish, so 6 weeks ago or maybe a little longer. And they had a chance. And when we talked about it with Sam, because Sam helped us with this bet, we live in a state where you're not allowed to bet on awards.
Right.
But I remember talking about it, and he and I talked about this again on Friday, that they're going to play Tampa Bay 4 times. And they might have to win that series or win the division for Ruff to win, but I think all else equal, he would win. He would win on ties because the Sabres have been down for so long. And then I started to hear whatever ESPN game it was, the Penguins game. The Sabres were in Pittsburgh, and they were talking the whole game about like, wow, this is incredible. But also like there's a feeling that John Cooper, who has never won that award, is kind of due to win. Like, oh, I don't need to hear that.
Yeah, there's like a career achievement award vibe to Cooper this year. And that is still, I didn't go over the column finely enough to know, but Greg Wyshynski, again, we're going to talk to it in the 4 o'clock hour, ESPN.com, has a long piece that posted maybe last night. I saw it and I retweeted saying Greg's going to come on with us. And it's handicapping the award stuff. And I think he's polling voters, maybe, or maybe it's just front office people. I'm not sure, but like Cooper is still ahead in Wyshynski's model. But like 58 points to 50. However, the first place voting gave you this many points, whatever kind of thing. So I'm interested to hear Greg on that.
Well, how do you vote for Cooper if they don't beat out the Sabres?
I
Maybe they will, but if they don't,
I don't think.
What's the argument?
I decided back in December I was going to do this, is the argument, which is nonsense.
We make a bet, and then finally, this is the year where like the standings don't matter.
Right.
That's not fair.
Where a coach that took a team from very last place in the conference all the way to the top in the span of a few months doesn't get the award. Like you just said it. I mean, those awards we've talked about it for years. Those awards are made for Lindy Ruff. Like a coach having the year Lindy Ruff and the Sabres are having.
Speak it into existence. I mean, yes. Not only, you could have been saying either. Not only were not all of our, perhaps needless to say, chit-chat can be really called time well spent. But yesterday, an example of what can happen was between 6 and 6:30 when we went into the quarterback free agent list and named perhaps everybody. And then Bulldog got to Kyle Allen, and we both kind of went, all right, yep, we're done. They know him.
Yeah, we
That's
were
the answer.
Searching for a Trubisky replacement, looking at the list of who hadn't signed yet, and like, yeah, okay, that's probably the guy.
Why don't we just know to do that up front? We would have had more time to talk about other things. Kyle Allen will be the Bills quarterback, of course, because they know him.
Right, and they're.
I mean, it's a little bit
Josh
sarcastic.
and he are friends, but yep.
Kind of what they do, right?
Yep.
It's what a lot of teams do.
Sure.
Sal Capaccio with us now on the West Her Hotline. I guess let's start there. The decision to bring back Kyle Allen. What do you think, Sal?
Yeah, but we can start there. I just want to first say, though, because I'd like to start by saying, Bulldog, I'm going to the game tonight. I will not be taking your advice and betting the Sharks.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I might take Celebrini plus 135 to score a goal. That sounds a little bit juicy. I don't know. I mean, he's really, really good.
You could use the win-win approach.
Right.
Which is you're happy or you're rich.
Right.
It's like in squares when you if you hit the square, but the team you didn't want to win the Super Bowl, like you get the Patriots, but they got to get the field goal at the end to win. You're like, well, I'm gonna win that square, but I don't want them to win, right? So I totally get that. Yeah, could do that. I'm not gonna do that anyway. Tonight, Max's hockey team will be there tonight, so it'll be a nice night for kids to see a really fantastic player and see some good hockey. So I like that a lot.
That's awesome.
So Kyle Allen. He played for the Bills in 2023. He was Josh's backup, as you guys remember. The first time Mitch Trubisky was here and then left, Kyle Allen became his replacement the second year because Trubisky was gone for 2 years. Little trivia, do you guys know how many games he appeared in that year?
0. I don't know.
It had to
7.
Be wow. I was going to say there had to be some kneel downs.
They must have been night games when I wasn't working.
Do you know how many passes he threw?
I do not.
0.
0 is correct. He was in for 7 games, all kneel downs, never threw a pass in a Bills uniform. And honestly, that's the goal here, right? You don't want Kyle Allen to have to actually play as any backup quarterback would. Look, I get it. I don't disagree with people who think you'd like a better backup. I think Mitch Trubisky has been fine. But the Bills are banking on something that has happened here to continue to happen, which is Josh Allen doesn't miss games. I mean, he is available. He plays. And if you're dealing with an injury-prone quarterback, no matter how good or great he is, you have to protect yourself with somebody better than that. I think the Bills are in a spot where they don't have a lot of money. They have to cut some corners somewhere here or there in positions. This is a position where, sure, would you like the best backup possible? Yeah, but why are you paying that much money when Josh Allen has the longest starting streak in the NFL when it comes to, playing quarterback? So I understand you're not going to get that high level guy, and nor should you want to pay that high level guy.
Yeah. It can be a little tricky to manage, I think, because on one hand, I think it's absolutely right to say if Josh Allen, goes out for, season ending something, forget it. It doesn't matter who that guy is, right? But if he misses because his elbow is banged up and it's 3 weeks, then that's where I think you want to get to. But I want to have the best guy I can possibly have here because, if I can even win one of those 3 games, that could keep me afloat for the division or for the whatever I'm chasing, right? And so on that hand, I might go, I think I should try to do better, but, the doomsday scenario is the doomsday scenario. There's no saving you if he goes down for 10 weeks. Like, your season's over.
And I guess the question is, and I don't disagree with all that, what other guys would be out there you could sign that you could make it work under your cap? that, I mean, what did Marcus Mariota get? $7 million? Are you spending $7 million for a backup? That's a name people thought of, right? I don't know. It's hard to do. You have to be able to manage the cap as well as you go along. So I don't disagree with you. And Kyle Allen has played games in this league. He's 7-12 overall.
He played in 7 for the Bills
he has more
in 2023, we just learned.
There you go. He does have more TDs than interceptions in his career. And I think what obviously is a part of this is his relationship inside that locker room, and with Josh Allen specifically, and with Joe Brady specifically. He was here a couple of years ago, and that matters to the organization. It's not because I hate the narrative or the talking point of, well, it's Josh Allen's friend. Yes, that matters. People, Josh Allen's friendly with everybody. But you got to be comfortable with the quarterback room and the backup quarterback. It's such an integral part of what happens throughout the week and the game plan and helping each other and making sure you can lean on each other and people that have seen things and been around. That is why Shane Buechele is still here. Shane Buechele doesn't offer much as an actual backup quarterback, but they love him in the locker room. He's smart. He's been around Andy Reid. He's been with the Chiefs. He's been with the Bills. It just fits, right? So all of that is baked into this. Even if people don't want to hear that and don't like it, I understand that, but that's part of it.
Fair point on the money. You can't spend up at this position.
Right.
I wouldn't want to do that either. 12 starts for Carolina in 2019, a team DJ Moore was on, but not yet Joe Brady. I don't think he was there yet. Sal, Dawson Knox restructures. This is not unforeseen. Mm-hmm. What are the ramifications?
So you guys know, every time we've brought this up, this to me was always the most preferred outcome and what I think could wind up happening unless Dawson Knox. The only way I thought this wasn't happening was really if Dawson Knox said, no, I'm not doing that. That would mean basically a pay cut. You could send me to free agency. But what is he getting on the open market? Now, we all talked about Brian Dable in Tennessee, Dawson being from Tennessee. That could be a natural fit. But then the Giants go out and sign a tight end for $8 million. Are they going to look into Dawson Knox as his representatives, trying to make that happen? And not that he could talk to anybody, right? I'm not suggesting that because he's under contract. But when you look at the landscape, you think about things like this. I think overall, this is the best outcome for the Bills. They have a player they value tremendously on the field for what he's been able to do for this team since he came here, and especially a year like last year when he was relied on more than people thought he would. Had 400 plus yards receiving. He had 4 touchdowns, but also what he means to this locker room and to the people around him. And we've heard stories about how Dawson's been very much a guy that they lean on, some of the younger players in moments of need of wanting to get through some things, even including Dalton Kincaid a couple of years ago after the Kansas City game. So now Dawson Knox gets to, the way the contract works, stay in Buffalo for the next 3 years. Maybe he finishes his career here. His wife is from here. They have a family they've just started. To me, it all fits, and we'll see where the numbers are. I don't see it. Have you guys seen any numbers specifically on it?
I have not seen numbers yet, no.
No, me neither. Just looking at Spot Track, I don't see anything that sometimes Mike will have it. But
right.
My guess is, guys, out of the $17 million cap, he had a 9.9. He had $10 million essentially base salary. You now get 2 more years to spread that out, and my guess is they'll add a void year or 2. You might have 5 years to spread that $10 million out if you convert it to a signing bonus. You could lower his cap hit to like $5 million, really. I mean, you could be looking at that, and that's $12 million cleared if they do that.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that it was for 3 years, that's what I figured that they would go, stretch all that out and really, at least for this year anyway, and maybe next, have the cap number much more reasonable. I agree with all that. Like, I think there's it's not a player I'm expecting growth from. Like, I think he is what he is. His baseline is decent. It just never lined up with the contract, and I did not need them to create another hole in an offseason where they already have so many holes. So if he was going to be amenable to basically taking a pay cut along the way here, okay. I didn't need, again, to open up another spot where I got to find another guy, especially like if Kincaid had played 17 games last year plus the playoffs and was on the field more than 50 or 60% of the time, that might be different. But he's an injury question every week, it feels like, and I just could not pull another guy out of that position group. So I think that's where I end up is like, good that you kept Knox.
Yeah, I mean, you could make the argument. I mean, I haven't studied each tight end group in the league. Mike, you might be more dialed into this than me because of, playing fantasy football seriously. Like, I think the Bills could have, I'm not saying fantasy, I'm saying football-wise, the best tight end room in the NFL. I mean, they have 3 guys that offer you everything you need. Dalton Kincaid is a really excellent receiver from the tight end spot. And by the way, he got better at blocking last year and did it really well until his knee injury started popping up again. Jackson Hawes is one of the best blocking tight ends in the league, and he can offer you a little bit of hands once in a while in a short yardage or a red zone. And then Dawson Knox really bridges that gap. I think and this tight end room now is going to be together for a couple more years because they're going to exercise Dalton Kincaid's 5th-year option. So you got a nice tight end room here for a couple of years. And with Reggie Gilliam's loss, I think you have to lean on them maybe even a little bit more in the run game here, depending on what they do at fullback.
Well, we have all offseason to talk about it. I guess I would just say I don't know that I want to have a great tight ends room. Like, why do I need they're jammed, That's part of my problem with this offense has always been this since Kincaid. Like, what he needs to do, what Shakir then is able to do, and what kind of roles they play. And I think I'm limiting myself because of all of their being present, as productive as they each can be, and even Knox in his way. I mean, they might be the best list, but I don't think I want that. I think I want other things more. Trey Hendrickson, Sal, how much thought are you devoting to the Bills signing him? He's still on the market. There is one report today that says the Bills are interested in him. That's really not surprising to me. Is he taking up room in your brain?
Started to today a little bit more than he had, and that's because the report this morning that he had been seeking $30 million, he wasn't going to get that, so now his asking price is lowered. And I'm thinking, okay, how high would the Bills be willing to go for this player? They reportedly did poke in on Max Crosby, but that price tag got a bit too high to be able to trade for him. So that tells me that they would certainly be interested, and why wouldn't you, in an elite pass rusher like a Trey Hendrickson or a Max Crosby. So I'm starting to think about it a little bit more. I think the longer this goes on, the more interesting it gets for me to kind of think about here. It's still something that I don't know if they'd be able to get to where another team might, but man, teams are spending a lot of money, and there's still money out there. But the more money teams are spending, and the more they're eating up, and the Bills really haven't done much in that regard here. They've restructured. They signed, Alford, the corner, and the DJ Moore thing. That's the thing. We keep reading the stuff about their salary cap. Yeah, they're over the cap still, but that's because they have to the DJ Moore cap thing when it happens. They're going to have to count that, but then they're going to reduce his salary anyway. So I do think they have the ability to land a big guy if they want. They just would have to structure the contract creatively.
Hendrickson, this is not necessarily a Bills point, but could become one if they end up in pursuit of him and land him. Boy, this guy, the timing, right? Like he just the fighting with the Bengals for a couple of years, he just never got the TJ Watt contract. And now what he's finding, I think, on the open market is he's too old for the TJ Watt contract. And that's really tough for him because his stats are right up there with the best guys in the league year over year, but he never got the bag, Like, I'm sure he's done fine for himself. So, I mean, my sympathy only goes so far, but he might feel like he mismanaged this, or his agents did, or I don't know. Like, he never got to be free at the right time for him.
He's 31, right? He's 31 right now. And I just want to look. He's 31. I'm looking right now. Joey Bosa, do you know Joey Bosa's only 30 right now? He feels like he's 35 or 36. When Joey Bosa signed last year, he was 29 years old, I believe, still with the Bills, which is incredible to think about. And Trey Hendrickson's 2 years older than him. Joey Bosa got $20 million essentially for 1 year. They spread it out. And you're right, Bulldog. I mean, I don't know. He's dealt with a couple injuries here. Trey Hendrickson has. Now, there's been some stuff of he didn't want to obviously maybe push himself because of what's happening here. But I agree with you. I mean, when you think about like what a guy like Bosa got in the open market, and I know he dealt with a lot of injuries, what Hendrickson might be looking for at his age, yeah, I mean, 30 mil seems like a lot. He's lowering it, so you're right. He's probably a little more priced out than he thought he would have been at that point.
Just a quick PS here. Would the Bills ever bring Bosa back?
I don't think so, no.
No.
No, I don't. I mean, would they ever? Sure, I think, but they have dead cap money already on him. You'd have to kind of count that in addition, just like they're doing for Connor McGovern. And what does that contract look like? But I would never say never, because these things, we see things like this happen. But I think it's very unlikely.
Okay, enjoy the game tonight.
Thanks, guys.
All right, it's our Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. His appearances are brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet?
Greg Wyshynski coming up in 20 minutes. Sabres and Sharks downtown, 6 o'clock. Pregame. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR. Mike Schopp here, whether it's at home or Free agent idea of the day.
All right.
Which, why shouldn't I, right? Because that's
It's
a normal thing this time of year.
On brand. Yeah.
I don't know if you'll even give this the time of day. That's why I waited to bring it up until we were on the air. So you couldn't just completely ignore me.
Storm out
Storm
before
out.
the show even started.
Keaton Mitchell, running back late of the Ravens.
I've always kind of liked this player.
Oh, baby, me too. It's bothered me that he hasn't played more. But when you sign Derrick Henry, you're kind of in tough. Even though Derrick Henry does come off the field on third down himself.
For this guy, right? I mean,
sometimes.
Yeah.
It was Justice Hill.
Yeah.
Rasheen Ali. Different guys.
Has he been – how long ago did he get hurt?
Year and a half.
He showed up and looked great and then got hurt, right? Has he shown that he's, the same player, basically? Like, is he still –
As far as I know, yes.
Okay.
I guess I'm just saying I haven't heard not.
Yeah.
But efficiency is great. And I don't know. Baltimore has always won my heart with their moves in, years running. But I hate the Crosby trade for them. 2 firsts. He's old. I hate it. And I don't know. Maybe there's some other reason. It's not like he was a big asset, but to let Mitchell go, I liked him too. His time was, I guess, up. I don't know. Do the Bills even have a need?
They don't, unless you want to convince me that he's an upgrade over Ty Johnson. Like, could he be the best third down back in the league, which is how Josh Allen described Ty Johnson? I'm saying that cheekily because, I think, a guy's going to say that about his guy. So I don't happen to think Ty Johnson is the best third down back in the league, but the quarterback likes him and he's familiar and all that sort of stuff. Is Keaton Mitchell a better fit for that role? Because I would listen to that.
I don't know what he is as a receiver. And part of Johnson's appeal is, like, he's had a couple big catches for Allen.
For sure. Yeah.
I don't know what Mitchell is. I think Mitchell is more of a change of pace.
Okay.
Fast, dangerous like that. And, as opposed to Henry. But I don't know that he's like a pass-catching safety blanket or anything, security blanket, anything like that.
Right.
I don't think of him really like that. But I don't know everything about him.
Yeah.
ADP chasing is tonight. Maybe his name comes up.
Okay. Well, I'll keep an eye on that. Is that going to be what time is that going to be? Okay.
We stagger it because you like that.
There's a hockey game
at 7.
You do.
We stagger it so you can watch during the the Sabres have their own, as do we, intermission programming. It's out there. And you can watch it after the game is over if you want.
Yeah. 9 receptions, 1 reception, 9 receptions. That's his career. So
not what he's known for.
Not a pass catcher. Then I think I'm a no. Mm-hmm. That was the spot because Davis is still on a rookie deal. I'm gonna be fine with that. He's entrenched now as an all-pro kick returner. Mm-hmm. Johnson to me would be the spot.
And Johnson's under contract?
He's under contract. I think he signed a 2-year deal last year.
Okay. Well, as ever with these exciting back of the depth chart running backs, get them to Dallas so I can get my hopes up and they'll never play. That's what I'm rooting for officially is get him to Dallas so he'll never play for Dallas, even though he probably should. Greg Wyshynski, the latest from ESPN's Greg Wyshynski on the Sabres next here on WGR.
Sabres game night, and they play host to San Jose. The Sabres are looking for their eighth win in a row. Pregame at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. Tonight, though, no Luke Schenn, Logan Stanley, or Tanner Pearson, as all are still dealing with those visa issues. But in net tonight, all signs point to Alex Lyon getting the start. Around the rest of the league, it is a very busy night. 12 other games. Some of the notable ones, though, to keep an eye on do include the Penguins at Carolina, Montreal hosting Toronto, Blue Jackets at the Lightning, and the Panthers hosting Detroit. All of those games also get underway at 7. Then at 7:30, the Blues, they host the New York Islanders. For the Bills, they keep getting work done. Tight end Dawson Knox signs a new 3-year contract. The numbers on that deal have not yet been reported, but the team has made it official. And for more on this, we do have a piece up on our website, WGR550.com. And then some of the notable deals on day 2 of the legal tampering period. The Patriots signed Romeo Doubs, 4 years, $70 million. The Raiders are sending quarterback Geno Smith and a 7th this year to the Jets for a 6th in this year's draft. And the Texans, they signed offensive tackle Braden Smith to a 2-year, $25 million deal. $13.5 million of that is guaranteed. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp.
Last night at 12:30 in the morning, I ate a can of mushrooms. I did. Pieces and stems, if you're wondering. As opposed to buttons. It was pieces and stems, which will be my next year's fantasy football team name.
Pieces and stems.
Pieces and stems.
And the Bulldog.
I should be ashamed to admit this publicly, but whatever. How long have we been doing this? I'm a junkie. I can't be trusted.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
You know, I think I've just had a good idea.
It's about time.
It's so true.
Sorry.
How does a grocery list in your house come to fruition? At my house, it's like this. I'm going to go to the store tomorrow. Here's a blank sheet of paper. Everybody pass it around.
Oh, I like
Write
this.
on it what you want.
Yeah, I like
And
this.
then I'll know that you want it.
Yeah.
That's how we do it. I think I want to start going forward with like a notebook or something that has certain items permanently on it, like a letterhead where canned mushrooms would always be on the list and 4 or 5 other things that I like, because I don't ever sort of write. I don't take my turn with the shopping list. I go, and if something occurs to me,
I see.
then I'll get it if it's not written down. Mm-hmm. And I don't write down, my stuff, but I think I want a notebook with letterhead that has like canned mushrooms, bone-in chicken thighs, the things that I always want.
You always want canned mushrooms?
In the house?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow, okay.
We make pizzas. They're great.
All right.
Just, late night snack.
Yep.
I haven't grown up yet, so.
Yep.
Here is Greg Wyshynski, good enough to give us his time. Again, we talked to Greg not that long ago. I remember when it was, because I asked you just a parting question about the Olympics. Like, are you ready? And you answered the question with sort of, I'm excited but a little worried for Team USA for a certain reason. And I'm sure it was a good one. But, Greg, what a great tournament.
Yeah. Well, my fears were were confirmed when, if it wasn't for Connor Hellebuck, I don't know how that thing would have worked out. But it worked out all right, though. What a moment for me and the rest of the country as American hockey fans, waiting for another moment of glory. And I look forward to a 60-year-old Jack Hughes showing up at my local golf country club, much like a Mike Ruzione, making money off that goal in his old age.
I liked the women's win more. I felt more pressure as a fan with them, because they kind of had to win and still ended up down late in the third, whereas the Americans kind of stole it a little bit, the men. But I love the women's tournament, too. Did I see from you today that there might be a sellout in the PWHL?
MSG
coming up. Yeah, they're going to
Seattle,
set a
New York.
record.
Yeah, at Madison. Yeah, they're going to sell out in a couple weeks span, Madison Square Garden, which is a really big accomplishment and should give them a new indoor attendance record for women's hockey in the U.S. And then also, I think they're close to or have sold out TD Garden in Boston as well. So, the women's league, if you talk to them, they'll tell you that they were close to a sellout at MSG anyway, which I don't know if that's true or not. But there's no question that the Olympic effect definitely pushed it towards a sellout, and that league's really catching fire at the right time. It's an exciting time. I've been covering women's hockey leagues, like pro women's hockey leagues, for it feels like the last 15 years, and it's amazing to finally see one catch on the way that the PWHL has.
All the jerseys at the Hockey Hall of Fame, Bulldog. All the official women's league jerseys and hats and everything like that. That store right there.
Yeah. Yep.
They're all on display. It's
great.
It's great.
Love to see it. Speaking of things that are hot and taking off here, not that it's new, but it's continuing here. Any worries about the time of the Olympic break? All the Sabres have done here, Greg, is win 7 in a row coming out of the break. They have a chance to do tonight if they win an 8th in a row. It'll be the first time in their history they've ever had 2 winning streaks of 8 games or more in a single season. Because they had the 10-gamer, of course, back before, around the holidays. And so, I don't know. I mean, when we talked to you last time, there was a lot of shooting percentage, save percentage stuff, and that's still the case for them, but the beat goes on.
It's just nice to not see an 8 and a 10-game losing streak that knocks them out of playoff contention in November, which is usually what we're talking about with this team. No, it's an awesome ride. Again, I'm not trying to be a party pooper, but you're the one who brought it up. They're still, 18th in expected goals, 29th in expected goals against. They're outkicking their coverage when it comes to the analytics. They think they're third in shooting percentage of 5-on-5, fourth in save percentage of 5-on-5. This is all since the beginning of January. And so, again, like the fancy stats are arguing a different case than what the actual results are telling you. But, throwing all that stuff out the window for a second, I mean, what a calling card victory over the Tampa Bay Lightning the other day. My God, the Lightning walked in. They're just like, we don't care. We're going to try to beat these guys up and establish dominance, establish ourselves as the alpha in this Atlantic division now that Florida's not going to make it. And Buffalo not only but then didn't fold when the score got turned on either. And that was just what a definitive win for that team, from a confidence standpoint and also from we are not an aberration, and when we see you guys in the playoffs, you're in for it kind of declaration. I was just really impressed by it.
Yeah, and that was on the heels, Greg. Their third game out of the break a week ago Saturday was in Tampa, and my text thread of friends watching these games was statement win in Tampa. They kind of dominated Tampa.
6-2.
Yeah. I didn't know that they were going to have another more definitive, more exciting statement to make 8 days later, but there we were. I don't need the game of the year in the league confirmation from you, but it seemed like everywhere I looked yesterday, people who talk about hockey for a living were talking about that game.
Yeah, it's because people who talk about hockey for a living want a bunch of fights and nastiness along with their goal scoring. Anytime you get game of the year proclamations, it's probably a game that had a lot of penalty minutes. Mm-hmm. And this one I think I saw had the most penalties and goals combined since '94 or some such.
Yep.
It definitely lived up to the billing, and it's going to be really exciting. I guess they see each other beginning of April again for one more tilt before the playoffs. But I'm writing a piece for tomorrow on ESPN about trade deadline overreactions about a week later. It is kind of stunning that nobody in the Eastern Conference really made an aggressive move to get that much better. Detroit added a couple guys, and the Islanders got Braden Shen, and obviously Buffalo tried to take as big a swing as they could, first with the Robert Thomas bit, then the Colton Parayko bit. But for it being this wide open, and due respect to the Lightning and the Hurricanes, but neither of those teams were the Avalanche, right? For it being this wide open, I'm really surprised there wasn't more sealing the deal on big moves to try to have one of these contenders kind of move out in front of the others.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I spent last Tuesday talking, Mike was out sick.
Oh, you're going to want to know this. Greg is going to want to know this. I think.
We had a Robert Thomas day in here on the show. All I did was talk about Robert Thomas for 4 hours. It was amazing.
I think Bulldog thinks he was part of the reason why his name was being chanted in the arena, which you talked to Thomas about.
Yeah, me and Jeff Merrick on Merrick's show, The Sheet. Me and Jeffy did a podcast back in the day, and now we talk to each other twice a week on his show. Had Robert Thomas on yesterday, and I asked him about the chants, and it was funny. He said he thought it was a joke. He didn't think it was real, and then his buddy was actually at the game and said, "No, dude, they're chanting your name in Buffalo," and he was like really flattered by it, but. Yeah, I guess the Thomas thing didn't get as far as we thought it did. Like, the Blues never came to him and asked him to actually waive. Obviously, with the Parayko thing, it got to the point where Yarmo was talking to Parayko about waiving. But again, like Buffalo tried to take a big swing. The Montreal tried to take a big swing and didn't get it over the finish line. I think Carolina tried some things, but it just didn't happen. And then Rod Brindamore gets all boo-boo faced because they didn't make a big trade. I'm like, dude, your GM acquired Jake Gensel and Mikko Rantanen in consecutive seasons. I mean, okay, so you didn't get one this time. But like overall, for it being this wide open, it's kind of crazy that no one was able to really land a big fish.
Well, that's where I started on Thomas there, and then we sidetracked with the chanting at the arena and that bit you had on the podcast with Merrick. The thing about Thomas that I was worried about when the Sabres didn't get that home was exactly what you just said, that Detroit or Montreal or, I don't know, Boston, like some other team, or even one of the heavyweights, Tampa or Carolina, are going to do it, and I'm going to have to deal with that on top of, the rest of their rosters, and like nobody ended up doing it, and we'll see if he gets moved in the summer.
I think he probably will. I mean, like the way he kind of described things with us on the podcast yesterday was he hasn't had to think about waiving his no trade clause yet. He said yet a few times. And that kind of tells you he might know where the wind's blowing on this. I mean, he's a young guy. I'm sure if he could, he'd probably want to stick this thing out with St. Louis and not have to, rearrange his life. But it seems like it's everything must go in St. Louis these days. And it wouldn't surprise me to see that trade made in the summer. I mean, honestly, I think the Parayko thing fell apart because of when this whole thing happened. They tried to make this guy, convince this guy to like change his life while he's on the West Coast with the Blues on a road trip.
Nursing back spasms at that, if you want it.
Nursing back spasms. Like you kind of want to just maybe sit face to face with your girlfriend before you're like, yeah, by the way, Buffalo. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like that was a matter of timing. More than anything else with the Blues and Parayko on that score.
Speaking of the idea of Thomas getting rekindled in the summer, do you have any idea if there's bad blood on either side of that because of how that went? I mean, the Sabres had to put up with, looking like they got turned down or being turned down, right? The Blues, I don't know, like they're talking about internally checking everyone's phones and all this stuff. I don't know if they suspect that it was the Sabres, but like, Would Kekalainen and Armstrong now have a problematic relationship because of the way the Parayko thing went?
Yeah, originally it's I mean, obviously no problem with anything that happened with Thomas because it never really got down to that level. But with the Parayko thing, at first it was uncomfortable, and I think you guys know why, is because the previous GM in Buffalo was talking about how they don't have palm trees and can't attract any talent, and here's like one of the first major guys they're taking a swing at, and he's like, no, thank you. But the more you hear about it, the more you think about it. It's a matter of timing. It's a matter of his own personal life. It's a matter of really having a connection with St. Louis and maybe not having gotten to a place yet where he's processing having to leave. I think you give it a few months and revisit it because I actually liked the move for Buffalo if it came together. But I don't think it's necessarily bad blood. I think it's the price of doing business. And again, I say this all the time. I mean, the Blues tried the same thing with Torrey Krug a few years ago. This whole thing about, trying to find out who's leaking this stuff to put pressure on the Blues players. It feels like Matt Damon in The Departed leading the mole hunt. The call is coming from inside the house. That's all I'm saying.
With Greg Wyshynski, the Sabres end up making trades for 4 players in the end. And Kekalainen talked about, I mean, it's obvious from who they got, experience and size. And that's kind of the typical strategy most of the time, you think, with teams at the deadline, especially a team that doesn't have any playoff experience, probably. Is it worth it? I mean, these are not depth players per se. A couple will be in the lineup. Carrick has already played and contributed with a goal on Sunday and a fight. So it's not all just backups, but did they do something of value, really?
I like the Carrick move. I live in Brooklyn, so I've covered the Rangers a bunch, and I've always liked his game. I think he's a good ad. The two defensemen from the Jets, I'm not crazy about, if I'm being honest with you, especially for the cost of acquisition. Those are very, very sort of depth players. In the case of Luke Schenn, I think you bring out a lot of experience, and that might help in a rough and tumble game here and there. But for me, that's sort of the law of diminishing returns. When you tease me Parayko, and then you end up with Stanley and Schenn, it's a bit of a tough pill to swallow. But again, that's the thing about the Sabres right now, though, is, what do they really need? I know we've talked a lot about the Blues in this conversation, but there's a lot of people that have been saying around me recently, maybe this is the Blues. Maybe this is the Blues back in the year they won the Cup, where all of a sudden a team just kind of finds its stride in season and then just, ratchets up 6 or 7 gears, and all of a sudden a team no one's had on their radar becomes so good to be challenging for a championship. And that could easily be the Sabres. So when you think about what didn't happen, it's good to kind of take a step back and look at the roster that they have and say, well, damn, it's pretty complete.
It is.
The success they're having is pretty good.
No, if Norris can stay healthy, I endorse that 100%. The reason I like the Thomas thing so much and talked about it for the whole show last Tuesday was that he would be some form of insurance for that. I mean, and much more than that. I mean, he's every bit the player Norris is when he's healthy. I mean, he's a top-line center. Right now, I feel like this thing is hinging on Norris being there, and that is just a tough bet to make given his history. So, bumping Tage out to a wing with Thomas at center, I was here for that with Norris, and if something happens to Norris, then I can move Thompson back. Now I'm sort of just crossing my fingers every time Norris goes into a corner.
I'm kind of thinking Norris might have been a part of that deal, just to make the money work.
Ooh.
But that's neither here nor there.
Right.
I mean, listen, there's been a lot of sort of celebration of how Kevin Adams built this team and the things that he did and look what they're doing. And should Kevin's name be on the cup if they win it this year? That Josh Norris one's a tough one still, man. Like we said at the time, it's a guy who can be spectacular when he's healthy, but when is he healthy? And that's exactly the player he's been for the Sabres so far. So you still have to caveat some of this Kevin Adams stuff because that remains a risky acquisition at best.
It hasn't been that long since we've spoken, Greg, but any sort of new calibration in the Eastern Conference? Is it still pretty flat? Has anything about the Lightning kind of losing a few games even before they were here on Sunday, Carolina, is the calculus different for you than it was?
The Lightning are a little wobbly. Obviously, I guess the calculation we have to make is they acquired Corey Perry, which means they'll lose in the Cup final. I mean, that's kind of how it works when you get Corey Perry. I think Buffalo has kind of invited itself to the party as the third best team in the conference. However you want to structure that top three is fine with me, but they're right there with Tampa and Carolina. Carolina is the one I'm curious about because they've been saying all year long that they think that they've got the best offensive depth that they've had under Brind'Amour. And to me, that's always been the reason why they've not been able to break through and play for the Cup is finding that one goal that they need in the playoffs. And I feel like they've acknowledged that in making the trade for Gensel and making the Rantanen move that obviously didn't work out. I think they kind of know what they need, and I'm wondering if they feel like they've got enough internally now on that roster to make it happen. But the East is anyone's. I mean, with Florida out of commission, it really is a wide open conference for Buffalo, for Tampa, for Carolina, for someone we're not thinking of to make a run. And that's exciting. I mean, it's got to be exciting for Sabres fans because there isn't anybody like a Colorado kind of blocking your way to potentially playing for the Cup this year.
Right. Are those three teams atop that division in the West? What is that? That's the Central. Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota. Are they the three best teams in the league, you think?
I think so. And glory be to the NHL playoff format where the three best teams in the league will all have to play each other in the first two rounds of the playoffs, because that really values the regular season. But yeah, no, those three teams are real good. I think Colorado is clearly a cut above the other two, and only got better at the trade deadline, not only with the Kadri acquisition, but Nick Waugh, I think, gives them the best center depth of any team in this league. And, you know, they're just so well built and so good offensively and defensively. But don't sleep on Dallas. Like, I don't think the Wild are as good as either of those two teams, mainly because their center depth is not anywhere near as good as what Colorado and Dallas have. But Dallas has been the conference bridesmaid for 3 years running for a reason. Like, they're really, really good. And, you know, they didn't do anything spectacular. The Tyler Myers trade was okay. Kind of gives them that same sort of right shot veteran defenseman they got when they traded for Tanev and they traded for Cody Ceci. But I mean, if anyone's going to be able to knock Colorado off their perch, I think it's Dallas, just because of how much playoff experience they have and the depth on that they have on their roster, and in some of the positions you need depth in to beat Colorado.
Well, as I mentioned on Friday to EJ Radick, who also talked up the Avs, it's understandable, obviously. Let's get to the finals and see what happens. I mean, that's right, Bulldog. Would you take that?
Sure.
Would you take a cup finals if it meant playing Colorado? I think I would. I
mean, sure, but then as per usual in this dopey league we follow, like the last time we saw a juggernaut like this in the regular season, it was Boston, and then they took it on the chin in 7 games from Florida. So for all this hype about the Central Division, you know, get ready for your Seattle Kraken first round upset over the Colorado Avalanche, and then it's anybody's guess.
Fine. Also fine. Tampa, Columbus, not only an upset, but a sweep when Columbus took Tampa out. All right, Greg, any Geno Smith takes before we leave you for the day?
You can come home again, baby. I don't understand anything that they're doing right now. I thought we were going to tank for a quarterback. Maybe Geno helps to that end. No. Listen, my wife's a huge Bears fan, and she's lamenting the loss of DJ Moore. So I think that you guys are going to have yourselves a pretty good receiver. I know that some of his numbers have declined, but I still think that he's going to just eat playing with Josh next year.
She doesn't get more excited about a second-round pick than the loss of a player?
I think she read all the report cards and knows that the Bears did okay for themselves, yes. But I also think that she'd like Caleb to have someone to throw to.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you, Greg. We bugged you again here pretty close together, so just want to say that we appreciate your time.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right, Greg Wyshynski, ESPN. The next ESPN NHL broadcast is Thursday, Edmonton at Dallas. Are the Oilers fighting? I got a thing on my Twitter that says Elliot Friedman reported that
the goalie Jari's got a rep. It's not going well. He's got like
other reporters denied it.
880 save percentage, and I think his history. There was some of that even in Pittsburgh, like that. He can be abrasive.
You better be good,
right,
in life.
Right,
if you're going to be abrasive, you better be good,
and he's not.
He's not good.
No.
Are we fighting? I thought you didn't have a chance to speak on it really, but you looked at me like you love Max Crosby to Baltimore.
I do. I appreciate them swinging from their heels. I guess I would go so far as to say I think it's called for Brandon Beane to have done the same.
2 1s for Crosby. You would have done it?
Yep.
Oof. That would have been fun in here.
Mostly I was trying to, and I didn't look because we went to a break and the subject changed, and because you said he's old, and I wasn't.
Well,
he's 28, I think, which is not young, but it's also like it's not Trey Hendrickson. It's a big 3 years, if I'm right. But I never looked, but I think 28.
No, I don't think he's older than. I don't think he's in his 30s or anything like that. But Bosa, Sal made the point with Bosa. Doesn't it feel like he was older than he was? And maybe that's injuries.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
But, I just think it's a 1, maybe. 2 1s, I'm out. That to me is just like a non-starter. But the Ravens did it.
He is 28, Crosby. So that was more, the face was more that. But I think I would have defended the Bills doing it if they did it.
28, how many days? You got to know that.
He's an August birthday.
29 then.
He'll be 29 when the season begins. Yeah.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog at 803-0550. Bills free agency. Dawson Knox staying. Connor McGovern staying. We didn't get into that today much with Sal. Yesterday we did. Trey Hendrickson maybe is still an idea. Then we've got all the Sabres excitement. Definitely want to spend more time with them. No guests ahead until we get to Paul on the pregame show at 6. Lines are open for your calls, 803-0550. This is WGR.
Sabres game tonight, and they play host to San Jose. They're looking for their 8th win in a row. Pregame is at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. Not in the lineup tonight, Luke Schenn, Logan Stanley, and Tanner Pearson. They're all still dealing with that visa issue. And then in net tonight, it'll be Alex Line, or at least all the signs are pointing to him getting the start. While around the league, it's a very busy night. 12 other games in total. Some notable ones, though, to keep an eye on include Penguins at Carolina, Montreal hosting Toronto, Blue Jackets at the Lightning, and the Panthers, they host Detroit. All of those games are also at 7, and at 7:30, the Blues, they host the Islanders. While for the Bills, they keep getting work done. Tight end Dawson Knox does sign a new 3-year contract. The numbers on that deal have not yet been reported, but the team has made it official. And for more details on that signing, we have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
We had a number set in mind, and before it hit free agency, Bills wanted to see if we get one more chance at it. It doesn't hurt when you have 17 in your corner also trying to drive things through. He helped both sides, and we all came to a conclusion, like, we're all very happy we were able to get this done. Last week, he called just to be like, just check in, just make sure I was doing well before free agency, trying to give his 2 cents on everything, and then just got the ball rolling from there, and then he was talking to both sides.
Connor McGovern, one of 2 NFL Connor McGoverns. Although last year the other guy didn't play.
I wonder what happened.
This Connor McGovern had the league to himself in 2025 among all Connor McGoverns.
What I need is for both of them, well, one to become, this is never going to happen, one to be a left tackle, one to be a right tackle, and be on the same team.
Yes.
That's the kind of symmetry that I can really get behind. Sort of like the hockey game on Sunday going Doan, Zucker at the beginning, Zucker, Doan at the end. That really worked nicely for
Brackets.
me. Brackets.
Oh,
Yes.
You love brackets.
It's perfectly
Like
symmetrical.
NHL goal scorer version of a palindrome.
Both of Doan's goals were on the power play, both around the goal mouth. Zucker's were different. One of Zucker's was a power play. But anyway, I like that. When the team gets that good, there were so many goals in that game. I don't know, was anybody else doing this Sunday night? I'm lying in bed like, what was the order? Who scored when?
Doan, Zucker, Tuck.
Right.
Somebody.
Carrick is the one to forget.
Darlene.
Carrick's the one. Yeah.
Zucker, Doan.
Yep. That's it.
Now I'm in Goodwill Hunting, trying to name my 12 brothers in rapid
and
fire
then from
succession.
there, I eventually woke up and tweeted this, but I'm like, first 3 goals, 4 of the first 5 for Buffalo. Tampa scores the next 5 and 6 of the next 7, and then 3 straight to close it out.
How do you win a game when you give up 5 goals in a row?
I don't know. I don't know, but they did it.
Connor James McGovern is the Bills player.
All right.
The other Connor McGovern, who did not play in the league last year, he's not listed to have a middle name at Pro Football Reference, but he does have a nickname, and that would be McGovernator. So we got to get our guy a nickname? Is that where we're going to land at?
Did that McGovern ever play here?
No.
All right. New England?
Mostly for the Jets.
Jets, okay. All right. You know this McGovern, our McGovern, the Bills McGovern? It's not ours. We don't really possess
Go ahead.
Connor McGovern. He brought pizza for the media today.
Really?
Did you? Yeah, I guess he hosts the big pizza parties that have grown. I think it started out just being the linemen, and now there's like more of the team come to these. One night a week they have pizza parties at the. He's got an oven and all this stuff, so he makes pizza, and everybody raves about it. I think he's been on like AM Buffalo. Is that still a thing? I've seen him on TV talking about making pizzas.
Really?
And so I guess he made. I'm assuming he made pizzas and brought them in boxes. Didn't get takeout somewhere and brought it because he's the pizza guy.
Okay.
So they had like 6 or 8 boxes of pizza he brought for the media today.
He has one oven?
I'm not super well versed on what his operation is like.
He might have more. He might have a whole restaurant kind of caliber setup.
He could.
To make 8 pizzas,
right.
on time.
Right.
You know this.
It's going to take some time if you got a single. I can do 2 at a time in my oven in our house. But, still that would take some time.
Bulldog knows, and I want everybody to know how much I hate all the drug ads on TV. I just can't even understand. I cannot comprehend how much money must be made to produce these drug ads where you have to ask your specialists whether it's okay, and if you have one of these 19 other conditions, you shouldn't take it, and whether you're allergic, and how you might die, but death is like 8th on the list of potential side effects. All of them make me nuts, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And I saw one the other day that's animated, and it's like it's a mom maybe hosting a kid's birthday party, animated, and she's got like restaurant quality pizza oven wall.
Okay.
Where she's making, and it looks like she's in like a playroom or something,
right.
But you're getting away with it. It's animated.
Yeah.
And we're just here to listen to the big Bizgirl, Rackamuzizzy Babizzy, and whether I should take it. And I got a mom, a cartoon mom, pulling pizzas out of the wall for the kids.
She's got like
what a woman.
Some coal-fired monstrosity in the kitchen. She's got like 8 pizzas in there on the deck at one time.
Yeah.
What a show.
She's juggling the pizzas, and she's got all these kids who are probably chirping over here and making messes.
Those drugs must be pretty great.
Apparently. They're kidding. Is that who I can't even listen to it. Is that who the drug is for? Is it for the mom who's hosting 12 little girls at the party?
100%.
It's not for the kids?
I think we used to call those barbiturates. Yes, that's exactly what that's for.
The drug is not for the kids?
All right, sorry, I'll stop.
That's how she's managing? Having all the kids over and making all the pizzas and doing all the cleaning? What is that drug even going to be for? To prevent you from going mad? Probably. Maybe you're on your feet all day. Maybe it's something like that where your feet are sore.
Maybe, yeah.
I'll have to watch it more closely. Which, please pray for me that I don't do that, because I'm definitely losing years.
I'm enjoying this, but
ads.
I don't think it'll be good for you overall. So I hope you don't.
And I can't get anybody to sort of go with me on this, on how ridiculous it all is, and how much of a sad state of affairs it is for society that. Like, where's my beer ads? We still have car ads. Thank God we still have car ads. People do still buy cars, but all my ads are for drugs and insurance. What does that tell you?
But and the beer ad that comes to mind first for me is like totally predicated on being healthy.
Oh, right.
Right, I got people running marathons and drinking this beer, and like, what are we doing here?
I got beach volleyball tournaments for seniors going on.
I mean, I know the beer ads never have been like binge drinking intensive or anything, but like, I don't know, these people with these sculpted bodies wearing the tight yoga pants, drinking this 1-calorie beer. Like, what are we doing?
That you can only get if you win the competition from the other person, because you would not get to drink a beer otherwise. There's only one available. Right. For the winner. As we all know from betting on the golf course, the loser doesn't get to drink.
That's right.
Only the winner gets to drink, and the loser has to sit there and watch them.
Yeah.
And then that hockey game where, are we playing overtime? What do you mean? You didn't even know, you didn't have access to beer in the locker room after the game was over? You're shocked to find out there's actually going to be beer? Isn't that the point of the hockey league? Look at your jerseys.
I think we got Labatt in the locker room is rising to the level of like all-time Sabres like ads during hockey games.
Really? Thank God someone remembered.
Right, to bring beer to pick up hockey.
All right, I got to calm down. This is not a good path for me to be on.
No,
I'm just emotionally and professionally. Don't talk about commercials.
Well, that's right.
It's all I think about. Just don't talk about commercials. Oh man, if I could just have my last show just only be about commercials, it would be.
Well, if we arrange things correctly, maybe we can get away with it.
Maybe it's today. Maybe this is it.
Oh boy, well.
Maybe this will turn out to be it.
I was kind of counting on you being here tomorrow.
Deep breaths. Brian is next. Hello.
Hey guys, I don't know how I follow that, but the Tampa game, I look at that and, a lot of the narrative is that Tampa came in to send a message. That game in Tampa that Buffalo won 6-2, I think that kind of broke them. I've never seen a team lose their composure the way that Tampa did. I mean, they spent a period and a half chasing all of our players. The Hagel incident, it was mind-blowing to me to watch them. They had zero interest in actually trying to play a hockey game. It's like they couldn't comprehend that Buffalo could be that good, and they just didn't know what to do with it. It floored me. I just sat there with my jaw on the ground.
That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is that Tampa really didn't care about the game.
That's what I would say.
Worth it. Their point now, and full marks to the Sabres for handling it. I said a few times yesterday when it's 6-4 and 7-5, the story I'm writing in my head, and I know I don't have to write stories about these games, but still, like in my head, I'm thinking, okay, they came in with the brass knuckles and you responded and your camaraderie in the penalty box and everybody's loving it. Yeah, go team. But you ran out of gas. And Tampa, they were prepared. They know they've done this with Florida for many years now. They're used to that kind of game and controlling themselves and having enough in the tank to then take the game over. But the Sabres then came back again and surprised them. But I don't at all expect the Tampa Bay Lightning at this phase of their arc, their team right now, to be the least bit worried about any of this. They'll be back in April and they'll be back in the playoffs. Like they're not scared of the Sabres. They got it handed to them twice in a row, and full marks to the Sabres. But I don't think Tampa's broken.
I don't think they're broken, but I wonder if they've gained some respect and maybe a little bit of humility from these two games. Talking to Paul yesterday, he said likewise, the Lightning just did not have any respect for them. And maybe that's still true, but at some point it shouldn't be. Right. So if you lose to somebody back-to-back and they pass you in the standings, maybe you ought to just sort of splash some water on your face and be like, all right, well, time to get to work. Hockey, though, and I don't mean this as a compliment, hockey, on every level, I would say, maybe even in that beer game, violence is plus EV. You can literally punch a guy to the ice and keep going on him, and you're back on the ice 5 minutes later. No suspension.
Or four even in this case, because he double minor is all he got.
Right. There. Or less because they scored on one. Right. I don't know. Right. Whatever.
Yeah.
He doesn't get ejected. He doesn't get suspended. He just keeps playing. And we've all, for most of the Sabres' existence, they're on the wrong side of that equation, I would say. They get out hit. And Sunday, maybe that's the best part of the game, is that they stood up physically to the Lightning. It's not my favorite point. When Malkin hits Dahlin in the head in Pittsburgh, nobody does anything to Malkin. Good. He gets thrown out. You get a 5-minute power play. You need most of it to score once, and you never trail after that. If I've got Logan Stanley or somebody, I need him. Oh, we're going to get Hagel next time. That's probably bad. It's probably we held up fine. They won the game, 4 power play goals. Now I'm going to go down. I'm going to take my turn being in the box all night because I have to get revenge. That to me is a loser's mentality.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about Buffalo needing to initiate it the next time around, because I will bet that Tampa's history tells you anything. They've done this with Florida numerous times. It's not like okay, we're going to pick, here's a game on the schedule. You're in our rearview mirror. You're a little closer than we're used to you being. You're battling for supremacy in the division or the conference, which is exactly what Florida was doing to Tampa. They unseated them eventually. They've gone around and around like this every year. There's a spot where they have a war. And I'll bet for as much as Logan Stanley can't wait to get his piece of flesh in this thing from Hagel or somebody else, I'll bet Tampa rolls in with the exact same mindset they did on Sunday when they come here in April.
Yeah, sure.
Let's push them around. I'll bet we can push them around.
One guy's bigger. Ooh, wow.
Right.
I have to change my whole ethos or something. I'm sorry if I missed the beginning of what you said right there. I was just thinking to myself, I'm glad my shirt isn't wrinkled by having worn a seatbelt to work. That's the one thing I was distracted by there for a minute. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog pregame at 6 for Sabres Sharks here on WGR. Good for Sneaky Joe. As we continue, more on the Sabres, who host the Sharks tonight. Home games all week, tonight, Thursday, and Saturday. Washington and then Toronto. Rest of the week, then they go to the West, Vegas on Tuesday. Mentioned yesterday they have 18 games left. 2 against San Jose tonight and next Thursday. 2 against Washington. And the other 14 are all against other teams. Nobody else is on the schedule more than once between now and the end, other than the Sharks and the Capitals. It's a classic rivalry, some would say.
Sharks and Sabres?
Yes. Just like this one going on now, this is March, the ACC tournament, conference tournament week.
I should have I don't have anything on in here.
One of the great rivalries in that conference.
Oh, boy. Is it St. Louis and UCLA?
Better. Syracuse and SMU.
Oh, of course.
Are meeting in the ACC tournament. Old guys here again to remind you how things have changed. Oh, really? It used to be different? Yes, it used to be different. Teams like SMU, which is in Dallas, are not in the ACC, or weren't, but now they are.
ACC stands for Atlantic Coast Conference, by the way, kids.
Not Gulf of America or anything like that.
Yeah.
Actually, the Atlantic Ocean is relevant to that. Yeah. Stanford is in the ACC.
Of course they are. Sure. Yeah.
New England makes a big move. Romeo Dobbs from the Packers to the Patriots. We'll hit that as well next hour. Thanks for listening. Fun game tonight, we hope. We'll have it right here on WGR. Mike Schopp and the Bulldogs. Stay tuned.
We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go! All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline. easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. To all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the
Pre-game in an hour as the Sabres are home tonight hosting San Jose. Puck drop is at 7, and the Buffalo Sabres, they are looking for their 8th win in a row. Tonight, though, they will be without Luke Schenn, Logan Stanley, and Tanner Peterson still, as all three are dealing with their visa issues. And then all signs pointing to Alex Lyon getting the start in net. Around the league, it is a busy night. 12 other games. Some notable ones, though, to keep an eye on do include Penguins at Carolina, Montreal hosting Toronto, Blue Jackets at the Lightning, and the Panthers, they host Detroit. All of those games also are at 7. Then at 7:30, the Blues, they host the New York Islanders. While for the Bills, they continue to get work done. Tight end Dawson Knox signs a new 3-year deal. The numbers on that contract have not yet been reported, but the team has made the 3-year deal official. And then on the opposite side of things, cornerback Cam Lewis leaves the Bills. He heads now to the Chicago Bears, signing a 2-year deal with them. And then some of the other notable deals from today. Patriots signed wide receiver Romeo Doubs, 4 years, $70 million. The Raiders are sending quarterback Geno Smith and a 7th in this year's draft to the Jets for a 6th-round pick in this year's draft. And the Texans sign offensive tackle Braden Smith to a 2-year, $25 million deal. $13.5 million of that is guaranteed. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Mike Schopp.
You might be mocking me or you might be staunchly agreeing with me. I can't tell.
I'm mocking you.
And the Bulldog.
What is Fozzie Bear's role in this production?
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Are we on the stream today? We are, right? We're always on.
Oh, yeah.
Does anybody think I'm beard infringing on you? Like I'm sort of going for a look to look like you? Do people think that?
I haven't seen any chat. I'm not. No offense, bullpen. I don't know why I feel the need to look at the chat while I'm talking to them. Like they just know when I'm looking this way, the camera shows me looking this way. What I'm doing is I'm talking to you in the chat. I'm pointing at the chat. Anyway, I haven't seen any chatter.
Okay, good.
In the chat, but I'm also not super aggressively following it.
You're not thinking this, are you?
It hadn't come to mind. Although it should be pointed out that we are probably closer in beard length than ever because I'm shorter. I'm keeping it shorter. I'm going every 6 weeks. I'm just not letting it get crazy anymore. I've decided pictures of me with that beard, I'm just like, no, you look kind of like an insane person. So I'm trimming it back. and your growing years a little longer,
Not-
so we're closer to a match, I think.
I'm not meaning to be. I'm
Yeah.
just lazy.
Yeah.
Like every day I think
Well, that
about
is
trimming it.
Still the foundation of the beard.
Isn't it?
It just,
Beard life?
It's just entirely.
It's just one more thing I don't have to do.
Don't ever have to do that. I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about
I
whatever.
don't like it at all.
When it's long like that?
Yes. I just thought, at one point I thought, like, maybe I'm starting to look like Bulldog, you know? And I don't want I don't want that.
G is zooming in on us. Getting the full treatment.
I don't want to be
Yeah.
perceived as not being my own man, right? Like
Yeah. No,
I've never needed to look like
it's
you.
so funny. Like I'm looking at you every day, just like you're, I don't stare at you the whole time, but I mean, I see you all day long. I hadn't thought of it, but now that G's like doing the zoom in on us, I'm like, they're pretty close. They really are.
Yeah, that is.
I don't go get a trim again until the end of the month. Is my next date.
Maybe I will find the strength tomorrow to take 10 minutes out of my day.
Right.
My wide open
But I
mornings.
decided quite a few years when I first met Oral Roberts is when I decided, that's my barber. He owns his own place now. I first met him at another shop when he was just working there, and he started trimming my beard. I was like, well, this dude knows how to handle this thing, because when it gets really long, it's a mess. And he does such a good job that I never trim it myself anymore. I don't ever get the clippers out and do any work on it. I just trust it to
Oral Roberts.
to my man, the professional, and that is his real name.
That is Oral Roberts.
That is Oral Roberts.
I got to go to my guy Brigham Young next week to see if I can get tightened up a little bit.
Hey-oh.
Here's a thought on the Sabres. And just like yesterday with all the excitement off of Sunday, were you there Sunday? Are you going tonight? Like, what's your level of A, excitement or enthusiasm, B, respect for this? I mean, just like I say a lot, I think we're going to just be talking all the time here between now and the playoffs about whether this can really go all the way. The Sabres can really go all the way, and just like how high is the ceiling here? 803-0550. You're always hit with streaks in hockey, and they're almost all kind of cheap or cheaper because there's no ties anymore. Like two 8-game winning streaks in a season by the Sabres would be a first if they win the night. And my instinct is always like, well, there's no ties anymore. I mean, somebody wins every game. That's way different than when it used to be, when we used to have ties. However, so the Sabres have won 28 out of 35. First instinct, well, sure, but how many of those games would have been ties? 3 of their wins.
Yep.
And they were all on the front side of that streak, if you will, if you want to call it a streak, including the first game of it, which was Edmonton.
It's an overtime win. They got tied with like 1.3 seconds to go.
Yes. So there was another game out west that went to overtime or a shootout. They had a win over Ottawa, but that's all like a long time ago. The second one was a game against the Islanders. So it was not out west. A home game went to a shootout. They beat the Islanders in a shootout.
Yep.
Right before Christmas.
December 20th. Yeah, I'm looking at the whole schedule now.
And then Ottawa, December 23rd. That is their last overtime win. If they win an 8th straight tonight in regulation, those are all in regulation. And how many in a row of their wins have been in regulation? Like, you have to go back. If it's 28 wins out of 35, it's 5 of the first 7 were in overtime or a shootout. Only one shootout, by the way, since then, win or lose. They've had 3 shootouts this year, the Sabres, and they have won them all.
Yeah, that is wild that you got to go back to 2 days before Christmas to find an overtime win here.
Yes, for all the winning.
And there's 2 overtime losses in there.
That's it.
That's it. I mean, they've been playing games in regulation and winning obviously the vast majority of them. I don't have time to count up how many that is, like wins in a row that are regulation wins. But
it's 21.
Oh, you did it already.
I think it's 21. Yeah, so 35 games, 28 wins in 35 games, and the 3 wins that went to overtime were in the first 7. So now I've got 28 games, 21 wins, all in regulation. There's nothing cheap about that.
You're right. It's 21. Yep.
It's 21 regulation wins in a row of their wins. Like, there's a better way to put that.
Right.
So you got it, right? Take out the first one, and it's 25 out of 27 wins, going back to just right after Edmonton, have been regulation wins. Really amazing. So I'm always sort of, first instinct is no respect for any kind of hockey streak stuff, you know, using history, because I don't know how many ties would the 76 Canadians have won, actually, if they had gone to overtime or something.
Right.
Even a better record. But this is just way on the legitimate side of the spectrum for this kind of thing.
And that to me, despite there being there's 2 overtime wins and a shootout win in that initial 10-game win streak that sort of jump-started this whole thing. But even that's just 3 out of those 10, right? The streak, I'm not going to pull it up right now, but the 10-game streak back in 17 or 18, whatever year that was around Thanksgiving, There was it was shootout city overtime. It was almost all of that, like maybe 7 of those games. I should look it up now that I'm going to say it as definitively as that, but I just know it felt fluky. And we didn't want to really say it loudly at the time, but it was like they were getting away with it. This never has felt that way to me. Even that 10-game streak didn't feel that way to me. Even again, that there's 3 of the 10 were, extra time / shootout wins. And that has proven to be right. I mean, the fact that they haven't had one since December 23rd, and they still are winning the vast majority of these games by a lot, not by score, I mean, but like they're winning way more than they lose, and they're not using overtime to get it done at all. They're just winning.
One more, and then to calls. The Sabres were 5-8-4, so 5-12 after a loss at Colorado on November 13th, 6-3. 5-12. Now they are 39-25, putting all the overtime stuff together, which means they are 34-13 in their last 45 games, more than half a season. And as we're saying, 3? Well, it's a little more because we're going back farther, but very few of those games have even gone to overtime. Incredible.
I looked it up. I'll count them out. Montreal overtime, Vancouver overtime, shootout, Winnipeg shootout, Pittsburgh overtime, Montreal overtime, Detroit shootout, San Jose overtime. 7 of the 10. That's what I guessed, and that's what it was back in 18, 19. That was.
So November of 18?
Yeah, right.
Here's Mark with us. Hi, Mark.
Hi, thanks for putting me on. I appreciate you taking my call.
Sure thing. We appreciate you
Just
calling.
wanted to comment on being a longtime Sabres fan and a longtime season ticket holder. I gave my tickets up right around COVID, maybe the year after, because it was at the point I couldn't even give them away. No one would even go to the game for free. So it became a burden financially and aggravating to watch them lose that much. So I never gave up on watching the games, but earlier in the year as they were struggling, I was invited to a number of games and declined each time because when I would go down there, it would just frustrate me and watch them play a boring game in front of 5,000 people. Now I've gone probably about 5 games in the last month. I went Sunday, probably the best game I've seen ever. I'm going again tonight, and I can't get enough of it, so much that I called in looking at maybe get my season tickets back. So just wanted to comment, Buffalo will support a winner. We always have, we always will, and can't wait to see the game tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy for you and for anybody else that's been through that. I mean, many of you have. Boy, the not wanting to be in the arena piece really speaks to me. Like that, and I never felt that way before, but it really got to that point where I just didn't want to. I didn't want to be there. It just felt awful in so many different ways. The game, the crowd, the size of the crowd, the mentality of the crowd, the sort of derisive, ironic cheering, and just, this is just gross. This isn't a good time. This does not make me feel good on any level. So I don't want to do it.
And my thing was, too, to add to that, is when, like I've said a few times recently, when the team goes south, there are people there, but they're not paying attention.
Right.
I mean, a great hockey crowd, which is what we pride ourselves on being, is paying attention. And that I mean, there are degrees of that. Not everybody's going to know all the players' names and birth dates or anything like that, but you're just not talking about work, sitting there with the game going by, you know. And a low point for me was going to the Vegas game when Eichel had the hat trick a couple of years ago. The first game back, the Sabres beat him. The next year, he lit him up. And, like, it's just everybody around me was only there to swear at him. No compunction about doing it. I paid for my ticket. I can say anything I want. And I just hated it. This is not where I want to be at all. Then I'm thinking about what I spent to go. And
as soon as you get to that,
I've got my daughter with me. Like, this is not, when I say I love this is not why. This is not why I love it.
Right.
And I don't know. I haven't been in there recently. I've got a couple coming up. But I got to think it's a lot different.
Yeah, I'm going to need to get a piece of that. I went to the Pittsburgh game, and I mean, before the last game before the break, which was maybe as lousy a game as they've played at home in months. I mean, it was never their night, and they lost 5-2. And I know, walking in, it was definitely exciting to be there, but the game just did not provide any of the. There was just no juice. It was Pittsburgh's game almost right from the start, and that was that. So, yeah, I've not yet had a moment like the caller's talking about where like the fuse is lit and you can't wait to get in there. I did. If I'd felt better on Sunday, I might have gone down to use my pass just to get in, but I didn't feel up to it. I'd been sick late in the week, and I just wasn't feeling quite up to it, so I didn't, and I kind of wish I had, but whatever, I didn't feel good, so I haven't had that yet, and I'm not going to run down there tonight. So don't worry, I'm not going to jinx anything, but I'm going to want to get in there at some point to just get a feel for what it's like to be in that building again when it's that hot.
And then the playoffs.
Right.
This isn't even that yet.
Right.
Roland is next. Hello.
Gentlemen, I remember you talking. You're talking about like regulation wins and winning streaks. I remember calling to like 20 years ago, and it was 2005, 2006, so it had to be 20 years. And I had done a calculation looking at the regulation record, because looking toward the NHL playoffs, 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 and the shootout and all that, none of that really matters. Let's look at how teams do on regulation 5-on-5 or whatever. And at one point, right about this time of the year, in 2006, the Sabres had started off pretty miserably, and it was sometime almost Thanksgiving when they started to get together. And from that point until basically now, mid-March, in regulation, they went 28-7.
Which is exactly what we're not. Yeah, 28 wins. It's very close to this. That's your point.
Very close. I just wanted to bring that up because I remember talking to you guys back then, and that was sort of a way of saying, there really is something here. This is really something special.
So keep with me for another minute. That team, as I'm looking at it now, March 16th, next week, 2006, March 16th, they beat the Leafs to go. I'm going to combine the losses, 44-21. You know what they did after that? They lost 8-9.
Oh.
So we don't want it to continue all the way to the end.
Right. So they skidded into the playoffs, is what you're telling me, and then got hot and went to the conference final.
They won their last 5.
Oh, okay. The 8-9 didn't take them to the finish line.
No. They won 8 in a row. What's this? Tonight's for 8 in a row.
Yeah.
Holy cow. I mean, we knew there were similarities. They won 8 in a row through game 65. Tonight is game 65.
Come on. Wow. All right.
Then they lost 8-9. This is the 06 Sabres.
Mm-hmm.
All but one of those losses in regulation.
So no loser points.
One loser point in 9 games. 1 win. And then they won 7 of 8 to end it. Have I done a bad thing? Have I done a bad thing?
Well,
I didn't remember this.
What you've reminded us to do is to not freak out if and when they hit a skid here somewhere. I mean, there will be worrying about what it means. Does it cost them first place? Does it cost them even second or third place? Like, that would be a real doomsday thing to me. But all the same, you can get it back. Right? So, like, you know, if it comes, we should make sure to remember that one of our favorite teams in history of the franchise lost 8 of 9 in late March or April, like, you know, heading to the end of the season.
Do you remember this about that season? Their entire second half of the schedule was against the East. I bet they did a thing. I wish I remembered. I bet they did a thing off the strike where they wanted rivalries. They wanted Buffalo, Toronto, right? So how many games did the Sabres even play against the West? Like,
this might have been
20.
a time when we didn't even do home and home.
No, right.
And that would make sense that maybe that changed coming out of the lockout. Like you're saying, more division-oriented, rivalry-oriented. There's a pocket in history where they would, you know, you'd go to Anaheim once, and that's it. They'd never come here.
I think they played 10 games that season against the West. And then 72 against the East.
Wow. All right.
Including, and they're like a group of 5 and a group of 5. So that had to be like, all, of course, by design.
Oh, the games that the games
Western
they played against the West, 5 home, 5 away.
Not exactly, but
okay.
There were 5 home, 5 away, it appears, but not in order.
Okay, gotcha.
And I bet the whole league did the same thing. Like first 2 weeks of December-ish, middle of January, they played 5 games in a row against the West, each of those blocks, and the entire rest of the season was against the Eastern Conference.
I don't remember it being that way. No. I mean, I do remember, like I said, it jogs a memory that you didn't play home and home with everyone like you do now, but I didn't know that it was in that season.
The Sabres go to 44-21 on March 16th, 2006, on an 8th straight win, and then lose 8 of 9, culminating in a loss that I remember in Toronto by the score of 7-0.
Right.
Remember that game?
Yes, I do.
They lost.
They played 2 in a row in Toronto.
They played 2 in a row in Toronto, and that was the first.
Right.
And they had lost 7 of 8 going into that game. This has to get better, right? What do we sound like? And they lost 7-0. And then they played them 2 nights later and beat them in a shootout. And from there it was, like I said, 7 wins out of 8.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. They say you don't remember the regular season. Know what? That's true.
Yeah.
That's pretty much true.
Well, having a pair of games, because this was also coming out of the lockout. I can remember sitting in here with you. We go back that far, talking about ideas. You know, that whole lockout was spent. You know, bigger nets, bowed nets, blue ice. Like, it's, you know, what does the hockey need to do? This was a thing. Play like little mini series. You know, like baseball. Like, I'm going to roll into your place and I'm going to play you. You know, I'm going to play you Friday, Sunday, or whatever. You know, we're going to play 2 games in your place, and you're going to do the same with me, and try to get that rivalry thing going. And it didn't really take hold.
They played Toronto 8 times. They played Montreal 8 times. I bet they played Ottawa and Boston 8 times.
Well, that's a lot. Now we're at, what do we play, 4 now with the division teams?
4.
And not, I mean, is
it sometimes 3?
Yeah, like, or, yeah, it varies. I don't know
4.
if it's ever as few as 3. Maybe it's as many as 5 sometimes. I don't know. But I know it's not as heavy as it was there when you were playing them 8 times. I mean, holy cow.
Is this team as good as that one?
Boy, they're just so different. Like, the strength of this team is the blue line, and the strength of that team was up front. They just kind of got by defender-wise, I think, really. They didn't have, like, or even a great, they had a number 1 pair, but it wasn't, like, a great pair in the league or anything. Goalie was obviously, Ryan Miller. It's you had a pedigreed, big-time guy in goal. I'm tempted to say yes. I think they're just as live going into the playoffs as that team was. I mean, it doesn't mean they're going to go 3 rounds or longer like that team did, but I think this season, the similarities are there enough results-wise, how they're playing. I still think, I've talked a few times about this, how they, if you notice, they cycle the puck out high because of how good their defense are in the zone. So that's different. And I was talking to Owen about this the other night, and he doesn't feel like there are that many other teams that are doing that. Enough that it still gives the Sabres a bit of an edge. Like when they go to play Tampa, they're not used to defending a team that plays that way, and that just gives you a little bit of something because it's just it's different enough. And it's not like, it doesn't happen you can't do it every time you have the puck. But just notice how often they are out above the dots cycling the puck because of the D. And because the D are in the zone so often, you've got forwards that are up there anyway, half the time covering for Power who's back below the goal line or whatever. It really affords them. It just makes it hard for teams to, play their defensive systems.
I want to squeeze this in. We have to get to sports in a minute, but somebody out there to that question is thinking about Ryan Miller, right? Does this team have Ryan Miller?
Right.
Well, he was young. That was his first full season. Ryan Miller, 05-06, 914, 2.60. Alex Lyon, 914, 2.64. Fewer games. The 05-06 Sabres had a team save percentage of 908, and this team is 907. What would average goals per game in the league be then versus now? Like there was a bump in scoring.
It was a higher scoring year, I would expect.
Than this year?
I think even than this year,
right.
but
I'll try to find out.
Not positive of that.
We don't need everything to be identical here,
right.
But so far,
yeah,
kind of going that way.
A lot of similarities.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog at 803-0550. This is WGR.
In about a half hour, as they play host tonight to San Jose. The Sabres looking for their 8th win in a row. It is a 7 p.m. puck drop, and again, 6 p.m. pregame. Tonight, Luke Schenn, Logan Stanley, and Tanner Pearson all are out tonight. They're still dealing with that visa issue, while in net tonight, all signs are pointing to Alex Lyon getting the start. While around the league, it is a very busy night, 12 other games. Some of the notable ones, though, to keep an eye on do include Penguins at Carolina, Montreal hosting Toronto, Blue Jackets at the Lightning, and the Panthers hosting Detroit. All of those games also are at 7. Then at 7:30, the Blues, they host the Islanders. And for the Bills, they continue to get work done. Tight end Dawson Knox does sign a new 3-year contract. The numbers on that deal have not yet been reported, but the team has made it official. And then cornerback Cam Lewis goes to the Chicago Bears on a 2-year deal. The numbers on that contract have not yet been reported. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Zach Jones for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
I think Buffalo has kind of invited itself to the party as the third best team in the conference. Like, they're right there with Tampa and Carolina. The East is anyone's. I mean, like, with Florida out of commission, it really is a wide open conference for Buffalo, for Tampa, for Carolina, for someone we're not thinking of to make a run. That's exciting. I mean, it's got to be exciting for Sabres fans because there isn't anybody like a Colorado kind of blocking your way to potentially playing for the Cup this year.
ESPN's Greg Wyshynski on with us again today. Check it out if you missed it on the Odyssey app. AUDACY. It's free. Sneaky Joe was listening earlier and looked up a team that rotated its goalies in the playoffs. I'm not sure it's the most recent example. Might be close. 2016 Dallas. Kari Lehtinen and Antti Niemi. I think maybe, I have to look it up myself, but went back and forth in a 6-game win, 4-2. So somewhat of a rotation, not exactly split.
Okay.
4-2 starts respectively for Lehtinen and Niemi for the 16 Stars that beat beat Minnesota in 6. Why can't I say it? Lindy Ruff was the coach.
Hey, now, so he's got some history doing it. Now, I'll bet a lot of coaches in the NHL all time do not have much history with doing that.
No,
but I'd love to pick his brain about it. Hopefully he'll be asked about it. We can put a bug in Paul's ear to mention this, that Joe found this, that Lindy has experience with that. I wonder if it was.
It has to wait until they make it.
Of course. I wonder if it was the plan. Or if, like, it did something happen? Like, was it, did the guy that played play badly enough? Oh, you got to get the other guy in. Or if it was just let's alternate, because it's not 3-3, right? They played 6 games and one of them played 4. So eventually they had favored someone. But I wonder how they went about making the determination that was what they were going to do. Maybe it was a year where the guys just had the year that these guys are having. The numbers were mirrors of one another up until Sunday night. The Sunday night took a big bite out of Luukkonen's save percentage. He was in the 9 teens, like 9, 10, 9, 12, 9, somewhere around where Lyon is, and now he's down at like 9.05, I think. Is where Luukkonen is.
Yeah, there weren't that many shots. The Sabres had 42 shots, ish.
Yeah.
Tampa was in the 20s.
Yeah,
in the game.
He took a beating there.
Well, I gave you the stats on Alex Lyon versus Ryan Miller before the break there, and Lyon has a lot of work to do to catch up to Miller's workload. But the Sabres had Marty Baron, who played plenty that year in 06, but Miller kind of took it over, and. This year, I mean, Lyon's played 30 games, started 28 games to Luukkonen's 24. Lyon is expected to start tonight. And like I mentioned, it's save percentage, goals against average, almost identical to what Miller did that season. I think the trick is, and, it's not to say this means they're equals or anything, but that was the beginning of Miller's career, which was, his number is retired, right? So now we think of him differently than we would have that year.
That's right.
That year there could have still been questions about whether he's good enough. whether Baron should play over him or play some in the playoffs. They lost that 8 out of 9 toward the end. I don't remember what it sounded like. I just remember the team as having this magical season, and he is so much a part of those memories. But again, Lyon is having that season himself this year in the Sabre net. What happened?
I stepped on the cord that one of these lights is plugged into and just pulled it out with my foot mistakenly, and I was going to try to figure out ways. I think I see it. I think I can do it pretty quickly. Here, just give me a second. I'm going to step away. Oh, my headphones almost just tore my head off. There, back.
Mistakenly.
And my headphones didn't break.
Like you want that light on your face all the time. Like
I would rather it not be blinding me. Yeah, no.
It's hot.
It is, yes.
I'm spoiled.
Yeah.
I get to wear a T-shirt and shorts every day. I don't have to put on makeup like the TV people, but now we have lights.
I should consider makeup because this big red face is just not going anywhere.
Matt is with us. Hello.
Hey guys, how you doing? To your point about the alternating goalies, I know that when the Sabres played Carolina in the Eastern Conference Finals, they were alternating goalies on us at least. Either because the one guy was terrible. I remember
it was performance based, but you're right.
Guy,
yeah.
And then also the other point is that Lyon's numbers are actually more impressive than Miller's because save percentage is dropping pretty significantly over the last few years in the league. Due to the increase in high danger chances. High danger chances go up and the save percentage has been going down. So he's actually got a little bit more impressive in terms of numbers because a lot of goalies were putting up those numbers when Miller was playing.
I think that's right. Although the thing about 05-06 is it's the new rules coming out of a lockout. Power plays were way up, so I'll bet scoring overall was very robust in that year. So, does make what Miller did, maybe even all the more impressive. But yeah, I mean, it's fluctuated, but a good save percentage right now, like actually what Lyon has is a very good save percentage. And it used to be in the 920s was what, like even heading into 05-06, I don't remember who led the league in 05-06.
In what?
In save percentage. But I'll bet it was someone with a 921 is going to be my guess. Because like that was sort of the number.
Devin Cooley. Oh, that's this year. Wait, I'm going back and forth between 506. Devin Cooley is this year.
Cooley.
Let's see. Kiprusoff. You want to say? Oh, Cristobal Huet. Save percentage. 929.
All right, I said 921. So, all right.
Too much math. This year, average of 63 games played. Average goals for 195. So teams are 3.1 something, that would be 3.2 goals per game. 2005-06, 82 games, 248 goals. Less. A smidge less.
So there's more scoring this season than there was that year.
If my math is correct, by a little bit. Yeah, that was the key point I wanted to make too. You think of Miller's career one way, but that one season, the league... Remember when you would get a penalty if you got thrown out of the faceoff?
Yeah, it was
delay of game.
There were
twice.
Regularly teams had 6 and 7 power plays in a game, which of course led to more scoring, and it had the desired effect. I like what's happening now much more because I don't think it's power play dependent. It is skill and speed dependent, and that's why I think the game is as good as it's ever been.
Second that year in save percentage, Dominic Hasek.
Wow, right.
For Ottawa.
That is still I still haven't watched the Dominic
You haven't.
The movie the Sabres produced. But at some point or another in the last week or two, I just know I was reminded of and you just I never think of it until I see a highlight like, oh yeah, Hasek was supposed to be their goalie in 05-06 for Ottawa, and we got Ray Emery instead. I mean, it might have been a lot different. I mean, almost definitely would have been a lot different. I mean, holy cow.
Yeah, he had a 925.
Dom
for Ottawa. his best year of his last 7 in the league for save percentage.
Yeah.
It's a good team.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, this is fun. I'm kind of lost in the numbers right now, but going
That
for
is
an 8
really.
straight win.
I'm glad you mentioned that he had a 925 that year because that's after the Cup. That's the end of the line for him, basically.
Well, no, I mean he goes to Detroit.
No,
he after that. Yeah,
After,
he had 2 years with Detroit after that.
After that, did
Yes.
they win again?
08, yes.
But he's not their goalie, is he? Like, is he their number one guy then? I'm sorry, I'm really sending you down a rabbit hole. I thought that was all finished by then.
Osgood is
the guy.
Dom got 4 playoff starts for the 08 Red Wings.
Wow, I don't remember this at all.
And went 2-2. Osgood went 14-4, 1.55, and 3 shutouts.
That's your 16 wins, right?
That's your 16 wins. They won the Jennings together.
Pretty good
that year. And then he retired.
Okay. But I did not remember that he went back to Detroit after Ottawa.
The movie's great. It was on after maybe Saturday's game.
Yeah, I know. I saw it on the guide somewhere. I just haven't gotten in.
He seems like when you're in the room with him, it's his room.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic Hasek.
Yeah.
Like, he just does so much talking in the movie. And, that's the point. It's a story of his life and career. Yeah. So why wouldn't he? But he takes you to an arena and to a playground or something and different places. And he's just, I remember this. He talks really fast and his memory is super sharp. And they have his former teammates around and they're like, sometimes, I don't remember that. I just don't know. Maybe he's probably right. It's Dom. He's probably right.
You're going to give Dom the benefit of the doubt here. Right.
And I also don't know that I ever brought this back up, but he did that local interview session around the release of the movie, or maybe the night of.
Mm-hmm.
And we aired that. Maybe twice we aired that. And he was asked something about, keeping in touch with the Sabres. Maybe he comes back every year once.
Yeah.
And following them and how much more interesting this team is because they're winning. And he pointed out in so many words, like, the reason he comes back is Hasek's Heroes.
Right. I remember hearing this on the way home one night.
That he's built this, helped to build this amazing program that's still going. And I thought that was really cool. That's a driving force, at least, in how he comes back or why he comes back annually.
Last time I saw our late great friend Jim Kelly, the hockey writer, he was watching his grandson participate in a Hasek's Heroes event at the Riverside rink. And I knew Jim. I don't know how I came to know he was going to be there, if a friend told me or if maybe he even sent me a message, said, like, if you're around. But I knew he was going to be there, and I went, and we sat for a couple hours and watched his grandson play hockey, and it was great.
Very cool. Sabres and Sharks pregame at 6. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR. Hockey tonight, Sabres and Sharks, pregame at 6. It's almost 6. Today's free agent idea of the day for the Bills is not
Keaton Mitchell.
It was Keaton Mitchell. It was not either of these two players. Romeo Dobbs, signed by New England. Pretty big contract. I think they probably could do another one. I guess the Bills could also come find their way to another one.
There was a lot of conflicting information around when that happened. At first, I thought I saw 3 for $60, then I saw 4 for $70, then I ultimately saw 4 for $80. So I don't know what the real
prices are always going up.
The real numbers on the Dobbs contract is. I mean, whatever. If it's $70 million, it's 17.5, and if it's 80, it's 20. I mean, it's not a big difference, I guess. But I thought it was kind of odd that was sort of all over the road for a few hours this afternoon, and I haven't kept up with it to know what the definitive word on it is.
I like the player okay.
Me too. I'm not inclined to make fun of them for it. I think you very easily could have seen the Bills end up there if they didn't make the DJ Moore trade. And frankly, maybe what they're telling you by paying the price they paid for DJ Moore, both with the contract that is going to get restructured once he actually the trade is consummated tomorrow, and what they paid in the second round pick going out the door and getting, what did they get, a fifth coming back?
Yep.
The prices were one of the things you do at the combine is get an idea of where the marketplace is going to be. And maybe for the money that they thought Dobbs might get, they liked DJ Moore more at his price, I'm going to guess.
I think a point Sal made at the time of the DJ Moore trade is what resonates with me. Oh, well, it's a second-round pick. I mean, is he that good? Plus all this guaranteed money for 3 years. Why not Mike Evans or Romeo Dobbs or Alec Pierce at the time? And Sal said, well, one answer for that is you can't know if you're going to get him.
Right.
And if you say yes to the Bears offer, then that's done. You know you have DJ Moore on your team.
And cross that off your shopping list.
I don't love it. I mean, it's an upgrade. I don't love it. The price is super high, and I would have preferred at least Evans from that list. But then Evans goes to San Francisco, and you ask yourself if he ever would have come to Buffalo in that comparison. How much more would I have to have paid Evans to get him?
Because that conversely looked like a pretty modest contract for him.
Team friendly.
Yeah.
So, yes.
A lot of talk about how his hamstrings are going to handle the electrical problem that goes on near their training grounds, right? There's a transformer that is thought – there's a conspiracy theory out there that transformer station, substation, whatever it is producing some sort of energy waves that are damaging 49ers ligaments.
It might be the case that George Kittle believes that to be true.
Right.
Another non-free agent idea of the day, Isaiah Pacheco, who leaves Kansas City for Detroit. So you had David Montgomery go to Houston. That might have been a trade. Houston then releases Joe Mixon, who didn't play at all last year anyway. Kansas City signs Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, and they don't need Pacheco after that. Maybe this will be the year they can finally just not need Kareem Hunt or feel like they need Kareem Hunt to go 11 carries for 19 yards and a touchdown and ruin our lives in fantasy. But Walker is a big get. And Pacheco, always some question about how good he really was. He's an interesting looking runner. He was in a great offense, and he was a 7th-round pick. Like, he was interesting, but then he had that bad leg injury and has not been as effective. So he goes to the Lions. I don't know what they'll do there. But Jahmyr Gibbs is, at worst, the 102 in early fantasy drafts, behind Bijan Robinson.
Right.
Without Montgomery.
So, I would. It was already happening. Part of the reason they felt comfortable spinning Montgomery off was like Gibbs was already kind of taking over. It was less of a split and more Gibbs heavy, and I would expect that to continue with Pacheco there. Like, to me, he's a backup running back to Jahmyr Gibbs, not a partner.
Yep.
Like the way Montgomery was Knuckles and Sonic or whatever that was called.
Yes.
What about we're going to be up against a break here in a minute, but didn't the Saints sign ETN?
They did.
How much money did they have sunk in Alvin Kamara?
I don't know. He's in limbo now.
Yeah, I would
obviously.
think. Yeah.
We'll be talking about all this tonight on ADP Chasing. If you're interested, you can find it on YouTube. I'll tweet the link. I know you've got the Sabres game to watch too. You can watch our thing anytime you want, maybe when the game is over or something. But we'll talk about a lot of these free agent moves around the NFL. ETN, I'm in a draft, and it was the middle of the third round. I was up. I took him. His ADP was half a dozen picks later, but we're drafting with all this activity going on. And I just think for the money, that's probably a bell cow role. He's played that role with Jacksonville, too. He's sort of held up to it, not always efficient. So I bet the Saints have that in mind for him. And there's no, obvious, I don't know what they'll do with Kamara. I think that's probably the bet the Saints are making with ETN. So I'll take a chance on him. Sabres and Sharks pregame next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.